Special thanks to both Nintendo UK and Nintendo of America for providing us with review copies. The famous man in green, Luigi, once rid an entire mansion of ghosts and made a home out of it. He did it again among 5 separate mansions years later to help Professor Egad in Evershade Valley, earning himself a faithful companion. Now, equipped with the new Poltergust and his trusty Polterpup at his side, Luigi must cancel his vacation and reach the top of the Last Resort Hotel in Luigi's Mansion 3. Is this game a proper explore the mansion style that lives up to the reputation of the original? My name is Tris, and let's find out in this review. The story to Luigi's Mansion 3 opens up with a bus that Toad should not be legally allowed to drive, carrying Mario, Peach, 3 Toads, and our hero Luigi, also accompanied by his pet Polterpup. Luigi and friends were invited to an incredibly fancy hotel for a vacation, but soon learned that it was all a trap prevention set up by none other than King Boo. Luigi must venture through the hotel to rescue his friends and family, and stop his arch-nemesis. The plot of the game is actually pretty charming. It's paced fairly well, and there's a good sense of progression. I find myself really enjoying the plot, though after getting through the main introduction, it was a lot more subtle until the end of the game, mostly focusing on the progression between each floor. Something that really stands out about Luigi's Mansion 3 is just how good its controls are. The series as a whole was known for fun gameplay with a vacuum, but this game has definitely mastered it. The controls are incredibly smooth, and the physics of the world are honestly really fun to mess around with. Despite this, the physics are a little overly wonky at times. There's been plenty of instances where objects clip improperly through the world. While it's definitely a bit of a mess with its physics, it's still really fun to play around with. While the slam mechanic does feel a little overused in combat and general gameplay, I wouldn't personally say it overstayed its welcome. The fact that it has a timing mechanic, allowing for up to 7 slams when fighting ghosts, is rather nice though. If we're talking mechanics though, I need to bring up Gooigi. Originally, Gooigi seemed like the perfect answer to adding local co-op to the game. After seeing just how many puzzles revolve around Gooigi's mechanics, or simply switching back and forth between the two, I've come to love how integral he is to the game. What better companion to Luigi than another Luigi? The main core gameplay is pretty quick to jump into, easy to understand, and most importantly, fun. Between Gooigi, the vacuum functions, suction cup, burst, slam, strobe light, and dark light mechanics, I really wouldn't say anything felt too overused. Next, I'd like to talk about the multiplayer modes. I'll quickly start with the local multiplayer mode, Screen Park. This is a fun, charming little mode with some minigames that definitely shines more when you have at least 4 total players. The chaos that ensues can be pretty fun, whether you're collecting ghosts, shooting cannonballs, or going for coins. There isn't much else to say, as it's a fairly quick mode that finishes pretty quickly too. The other mode is what shines real strongly, Skyscraper. Returning from Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, this mode is 4 Luigis embark to the top of a tower, working cooperatively to clear 1 floor at a time. Each floor has different missions, such as capturing all the ghosts, rescuing toads, or collecting money. Whether you play with friends or random people online, this mode has consistently been a blast. The gameplay controls the same as the main game, with some extra bonuses such as items. Having to work together with 3 other Luigis is actually very fun, and this mode has given me a ton of replay value. My only real gripe with it is that the version in Dark Moon had more mission types as well as more floor options, instead of simply 5 or 10 floors. Overall, the gameplay to Luigi's Mansion 3 is incredibly solid. It never stopped being fun to explore the hotel, capture ghosts, or solve ridiculous puzzles for gems. Playing online with friends in Skyscraper has been fun every single time, so I can confidently say its gameplay is just as strong as the main games, if not even better. When it comes to the presentation of this game, there's one thing I need to make sure gets said right away. This game looks beautiful. Everything in this game is detailed so nicely, ranging from the texturing on Luigi to the particles of dust in the air, to every little possible object that can be manipulated by the poltergeist. The animations in the game are also incredibly expressive, not just Luigi either. I have to admit, it was jarring at first to see Professor Egad practically lip-synced to his original GameCube-era voice clips, but it's also really charming. That actually does sum up the presentation in this game perfectly. It's incredibly charming. Perhaps Luigi's most charming adventure yet. There's so much personality in everything. One of my favorite aspects of the game is Luigi's interactions with each boss ghost. Luigi's reactions to everything going on is always a pleasure to see, but the ghosts all having their own reactions to Luigi made this adventure even more worthwhile. Each boss ghost being themed to its own floor was also handled very nicely, and each one made sense. Let's use that to segue to talk about the floors. There's 15 of them in the game, and after the initial obvious hotel floors you encounter early on in the game, they get more and more wild in theme, ranging from a medieval castle to a movie studio to even a pyramid and tomb. It's also diverse, like the various mansions from Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, but there's one perfect aspect that helps it all feel so concise. There's no missions in this game. Luigi explores the entire floor of the hotel to completion, and then is free to return to it at any point to further explore to his heart's content. The game has the level of freedom in its exploration that the original Luigi's Mansion did, but multiplied tenfold with just how much there is to explore in comparison. The amount of charm and the theming behind each floor kept me thoroughly invested and interested with each elevator button I obtained, excitedly anticipating what floor would await me next. The pacing in this game is one of the few things I want to address in a not so positive approach. Without giving any specific spoilers, rescuing the three Toads, Mario, and Peach were nowhere near as well paced as I expected them to be. Rescuing the last Toad at what feels as though it's really late into the game just felt really jarring and off, like he should have been rescued already, long ago. The pacing of each individual floor is done really nicely and very concisely, but the pacing at which the plot progressed to rescuing each of Luigi's friends just felt a little odd at times. The next low point I'd like to mention is the main collection, that is, the boos and the gems on each floor. The boos are a little tedious to find at times, but luckily there's only one per floor, so all in all it wasn't actually all too bad. The gems, on the other hand, I'm mixed on. So many of them were genuinely really good puzzles that felt rewarding to obtain and solve. Some, on the other hand, were definitely way too difficult and ridiculous, borderline too hard to figure out without consulting a guide of some sort. Luckily, there weren't too many of that difficulty, but it was a few too many. One thing players may find themselves wanting to adjust in the settings is EGAD's hints. Professor EGAD can offer hints to help guide the player towards their goal if they seem stuck for a few minutes. At times, this was genuinely helpful hints for a puzzle I was stuck on that I needed to finish in order to progress. Most of the time, however, EGAD basically just told me get a move on and was rather annoying. As a final little detail to gush over here, I love that Luigi went from using a Game Boy Horror to a dual screen, and now in this game a virtual boo to communicate with Professor EGAD. The VB is also used very nicely, as the jarring red screen of the actual Virtual Boy wasn't a problem at all here for Luigi, and it fits really nicely. Luigi's Mansion 3 is absolutely beautiful, and the presentation behind this game may just be the best we've seen yet for Luigi's adventures. As we wrap up this review, it's obvious that I spent quite an amount of time essentially gushing over this game. Luigi's Mansion 3 is a very well-polished game that looks better than ever, and most importantly, plays better than ever. It's clear to me that this game took the best elements of the original Luigi's Mansion and Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and combined them together to make this absolute masterpiece of a game. If you're a fan of either game in the Luigi's Mansion series, the Mario series in general, or just want to play a relatively quick, wacky, and fun game that's definitely different than most you'll find, you should definitely give Luigi's Mansion 3 a chance. I'm confident that this game is not only my favorite in the Luigi's Mansion series, but has also solidified itself as one of my favorite games on the Nintendo Switch. Before we go, I'd like to give a special thanks to all of our patrons. If you like this video, give us a like. Want to share your thoughts on the game? Leave a comment below, or let us know on Twitter or Discord, which you can find our links to in the description. Make sure to subscribe to Source Gaming for more, and always remember to return to the source.